The minor basilica of the Black Nazarene, also known as Quiapo Church, is situated along the busy streets of Quezon Boulevard, Manila. Quiapo Church is one of the most recognizable landmarks of Manila and is home to the Black Nazarene, which is the object of devotion celebrated annually by the country. The structure dates back to the 16th century, where it was first constructed, and since then had undergone a series of destruction and reconstruction which resulted in the church's current conditions. Quiapo Church is an important historical landmark that should be preserved. It is not only a place of devotion, but it also represents a part of the Filipino identity.
Starting off with the project objectives, the goal of this project is the heritage conservation and preservation of Quiapo Church. And the steps that were taken to achieve these goals are: number 1, the building assessment of the heritage structure and its site; number 2, establishing cultural awareness among the stakeholders; and number 3, proposing interventions to help aid in the heritage conservation and preservation. Moving on to the stakeholders profile, the management plan itself identifies different individuals and organizations that are actively involved in the result of the management plan itself, with varying responsibilities and influence on the project, either positive or negative. We begin with the Roman Catholic devotees who annually visit to attend early masses, regular processions, novenas, and social services for the poor. Second, the local Quiapo inhabitants who are exposed to different cultures, including the Spanish, Muslim, and Chinese influences. These are all reflected in the food, religion, and culture. Third, tourists, with the largest percentage of devotees pertain to employees and mostly belong to the low-income group, visiting from Manila and Quezon City. And finally, street vendors throughout the church highlights the intertwined culture and heritage with the community and its setting.
The cultural significance of Quiapo Church are categorized in 5 areas: historical, social-political, socio-economic, architectural, and spiritual significance. All of its historical legacy represents the Spanish colonial regime as it was built by the friars and used as a justification to occupy the Philippines. The establishment of Quiapo Church influenced the trade and economy of the community. This stimulated merchants to express their artistic excellence in crafting religious art. The church is known for being a symbol of divine strength due to its history of surviving calamities that damaged the church. Notable Filipino architects reconstructed the church, such as architect Jhoanna and architect Jose Zaragoza, both of which later on became national artists for architecture. Quiapo Church is also known as Black Nazarene, also known as Traslacion. The tradition dates back to the 1600s. Today, thousands of Filipinos continue to visit the church. The devotees consider the Black Nazarene as an image of suffering, relatable to the masses.
The thriving commerce that prospers surrounding the church, vendor market catering to the massa, seeking bargains, spiritual figures, and alternative necessities, all of which are cheaper. However, concern was raised regarding the crime and the uncoordinated structures that are obstructing pathways through the church, leading to the deterioration of the surroundings. Deterioration found along the wall elevations are due to the exposure to harmful conditions including UV light exposure, extreme weather, outdoor man-made pollution, and biological damages caused by pests. As a result, the exterior walls are covered with a layer of dust, stain, underlying corroded layers of paint and metal. Deterioration found inside the church is caused by wear and tear. The relics and the seats are in good conditions, with parts fading or some with dents and scratches due to human contact. Moreover, some features are also affected by the environmental conditions like soot and dust covering the stucco ceiling and the rusting of doors and windows due to constant exposure of water and air.
It was established a while ago that Quiapo Church is an important structure for us Filipinos due to its many significance. However, since the church is an old structure, it is inevitable for it to experience some deterioration due to wear and tear and exposure to environmental factors. So we are proposing a management plan based on our gathered data. So first, to assess the condition of the building, Then we did a cultural mapping before determining the suitable interventions for the church. Moreover, this proposed management plan will help the parish to maintain its area and the building in their best condition over time.
Plan. The proposed management plan for Quiapo Church that aim to include intentional design that conserve the heritage value of the church, including its historical, aesthetic, economic, and social value. Starting off with the site environment interventions as the first priority due to its benefits in sustainable design, making the site more attractive inside and out. Moving on to the landscape vegetation, the proposed landscape walkway revitalizes the lush vegetation along the path and perimeter of the church, creating positive relationship between the church premise and the adjacent areas. The planter box have significant potential to bring back biodiversity and provide ecosystem services to the site through custom irrigation and planting system. In turn, this creates a strong visual contrast with the surrounding buildings that serve as an urban furniture and additional public space.
Establishing a design space will also attract tourists and guests to visit the site. The dirt-covered tiles of Plaza Miranda are replaced with a new pavement design to separate the areas for vendors and sidewalk. Vendors will have a better setting since they have a certain placement for their stalls. Mass attendees will then have a better grasp of where to pass by through the redesigned tiling pavement.
According to the survey, a significant aspect of Quiapo is its vendors. However, some respondents see this as a bad trait since they contribute to traffic and their tents do not look good with the church. But rather than completely removing the street vendors, 92% of the participants agreed that we should do a uniform canopy instead. Besides the canopy, we will also rearrange the vendors according to their categories to ensure easy wayfinding since most people comment that this part of the church is often chaotic. So we will rearrange them according to sellers of religious relics, food, massagers, fortune tellers, and then the sellers of occult goods. We will also provide a small space where ambulant vendors can rest.
The second part of recommendations are for the facade of the Quiapo Church. The recommendations are meant to revive the essence of its cultural heritage that will prevent material deterioration due to weathering. Taking a closer look, certain areas of the wall elevation are covered with blackish dirt and hairline cracks that could have been caused by rain and dirt accumulation. The proposal is to maintain the color palette of the facade by doing the following: scrape the peeling paint, fill the hairline cracks with caulk, prime the wall, and repaint the tarnished paint with high-quality latex-based paint in the same color as before. The contemporary design of the perimeter wall is exchanged for a Baroque design to suit the essence of the Baroque church architect Jhoanna originally designed. The see-through mesh and steel walls are replaced with plastered relics to better represent the religious beliefs of Catholic devotees that visit the church.
Based on the survey conducted for religious sculptures, Filipinos favor starring statues to resist aging, and they also prefer them with colors. Non-fading exterior paints like acrylic are recommended to restore these sculptures, and we are also suggesting to hire professionals to do the restoration to maintain the sacred look of these relics. Last but not the least is the interior interventions. These interventions are proposals of building materials that are more suitable to the changing environment. We're also going to talk about guidelines on how to take care.
The new installation will provide safety and security to the church without affecting the indoor ventilation of the structure, replacing the existing iron grills with powder-coated aluminum grills due to its lightweight properties and resistance to corrosion.
As mentioned a while ago, locals prefer sculptures looking new and clean instead of letting them age through time. For this reason, we will propose restoration works like using fade-resistant paints for these sculptures, wood varnish, metal polisher to the Stations of the Cross, and hydrogen peroxide for the holy fonts.
The management plan and interventions are the steps taken to ensure the conservation and preservation of the heritage site and structure of Quiapo Church. These necessary steps will mitigate deterioration and allow the church to efficiently continue in serving its purpose. Quiapo Church remains to be an integral part of the Filipinos and will continue to do so.